Gopi Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana 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 Yashodanandana Dear devotees, welcome once again. Thank you so much for kindly being present here. Very grateful that all of you have kindly given your time. And there are two resources, main resources that a person has in his or her life. These two resources are money and time. And out of these two resources, there is one resource which you cannot get back once you spend it. And what resource is that, dear devotees? It's more important than money. And all of you have decided to give me your time, for which I am very, very grateful. because this is one resource of your life which you will not get back after spending it. So you have decided to spend it listening to what I have to say in this regard. But I am very, very thankful that all of you are present here. Thank you so much once again for kindly being present. It is Shishta Parampara to perform Mangala Charan, auspicious invocations, and it is these auspicious invocations which protect the program from any unexpected obstacles. So I'll perform Mangala Charan. Most of us know these verses. You can kindly sing along with me. Om Jnana-Timirandasya Jnana-Anjana-Shalakaya Chakshurmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sarvanarunavanvitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Savanalita Shri Vishakamitam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Namo Mahamadhyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Krishna Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Pattanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare. Devotees, it is also the tradition of the Acharyas to begin with glorifying the audience. Audience is the most important part of the success of any particular event. And it is best if the audience is Sahriday. Sahriday is they are like-minded, they are like-hearted, because when the audience is not Sahriday, it becomes very difficult for the speaker to speak anything. Therefore, each and every speaker desires Sahriday or like-minded audience, and a Vaishnava audience is definitely Sahriday when topics related to Vaishnava Dharma are being spoken. So, dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami wrote a verse for all Sahriday Bhaktas such as all of you, and this verse he wrote in the beginning of the Vidagdha Madhav Natakam. I'll sing this verse, please sing after me. Udasatam nama rasana bhigya Udasatam nama rasana bhigya Kritau tavami rasika spuranti Kritau tavami rasika spuranti Ramelakai kamamupekshitepi Ramelakai kamamupekshitepi Sukham yanti param rasale Sukham yanti param rasale. Sri Rupa Goswami says Udasatam nama rasa anabhigya. Those individuals who don't like bhakti ras, those individuals who have no taste for bhakti ras, Udasatam nama, let them happily neglect what I have to say. Why? Because they are rasa anabhigya. Rasa anabhigya means they are unaware of the principles of bhakti ras. But Kritau, in what I have to say, Ami, these Rasikas, these Vaishnavas, Rasikas Puranti, they will certainly take delight. The non-Rasikas may not take delight, but the Vaishnavas, they will certainly take delight in what I have to say. And then he gives an example, and perhaps this is for the first time that Srila Rupa Goswami is critiquing somebody. I have not seen him critiquing anybody in his literature except for the Arasika, dear devotees. Sri Rupa Goswami is such a personality. I have not seen him criticizing anybody in any of his literature except for perhaps this verse. And he says, Kramelakai. Kramelak, there is an English equivalent term nowadays, camel. Kramelakai kamam upekshitepi pikaha sukham yanti param rasale. Rasale, the camel does not like rasal. Rasal is mango, dear devotees. So camel doesn't like mangoes, but does it mean that the value of the mango goes down just because the camel doesn't like it? No. Mangoes are still selling for $60 per crate, isn't it? 40. Alfonso mango. So, just because camels don't eat mangoes doesn't mean that mangoes are not in demand. Pikaha sukham yanti. So, the cuckoos happily eat mangoes because the cuckoos are rasikas. They have some taste for this. So therefore, dear devotees, this entire presentation is meant for the rasikas who are like the cuckoos. And if there are some non-Vaishnavas who are like Kramelak. What is Kramelak, dear devotees? Camel. They may happily ignore it. Therefore, my ideal audience is a Vaishnava audience, because a Vaishnava audience is a Rasik audience. One of the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava is that they are Kavi. Kavi means they have a heart for poetry. And therefore, I am very happy to have all of you as the audience today. And here is the translation. Sundaran Prabhu, kindly read slowly and loudly.
Those who are averse to this Bhakti Rasa can happily show indifference towards it, while those who are expert in it will certainly always dive deep. The cuckoos relish ripe mangoes on the trees, whereas the camels prefer to avoid them and eat thorny bushes instead.
Yeah. So, dear devotees, this is all of you. Okay, this is all of you. And thank you for being this. Because without this, I cannot speak my heart out. So this is all of you, and because all of you are Vaishnavas who are expert in the art of relishing poetry, the art of understanding Bhakti Ras. Therefore, all of you are the best audience I could have gotten. And dear devotees, I don't want this audience, you can see here, this I don't want. This audience I don't want. So the camel also enjoys rasa, but not the rasa of the mango. The camel chews on the thorn, and then one ras comes out. Which ras comes out?
Blood.
And the camel thinks it is enjoying ras. But that is not the ras that Sri Rupa Goswami is indicating. Rupa Goswami wants devotees who are expert in relishing Bhakti Ras. All of you are of that particular nature, dear devotees. We will also begin with a quote by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says something in Purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22.113. To kindly read.
There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of the basic principle. That is, one should always remember Krishna and never forget him.
So this, dear devotees, is the central principle around which one has to bend their entire spiritual life around. And these are two principles. One of them is a positive injunction. One of them is a negative injunction. And what is the positive injunction, dear devotees? Always remember Krishna. What is the negative injunction? Never forget Krishna. All other positive injunctions in Bhakti are servant of one positive injunction. Always remember Krishna. All other negative injunctions in Bhakti are servants of one negative injunction. And what is that? Never forget Krishna. So all the other rules and regulations, positives and negatives, are essentially servants of this one positive injunction and this one negative injunction. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And dear devotees, it is also very important to understand that the same instruction has been given twice. Sri Rupa Goswami could have simply said, always remember Krishna. There was no need of separately saying, never forget Krishna. Or Sri Rupa Goswami could have said, never forget Krishna. And there was no need of saying, always remember Krishna. But he has given the same injunction, not in one way, but in how many ways? Two ways. In a positive way and in a negative way. So what is the reason behind speaking the same thing in a positive and a negative way? In Sanskrit there is something called as punar ukti dosh, the fault of repetition. So has Sri Rupa Goswami committed the fault of repetition in such a statement? Yes or no? But from an external point of view, it appears that the same thing has been repeated twice. So somebody may object that this is the fault of repetition or punar ukti dosh. But the commentator Sri Jiva Goswami was sitting right next to Sri Rupa Goswami when Sri Rupa Goswami was making the original statement. And what was the original statement, dear devotees? The original statement is this. Please repeat after me. Smartavya satatam Vishnu.
Smartavya satatam Vishnu.
Smartavyo na jatu chet.
Vismartavyo na jatu chet.
Sarve vidhi nishedhasyo.
Sarve vidhi nishedasyo.
Etayoreva kinkara.
Etayoreva kinkara.
Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Vishnu, that is Krishna, should be smartavya satatam, should be always remembered. But Kamsa also remembered Krishna always. Therefore in the bracket I have put something. Should be always remembered how? Favorably. So that is very important. Krishna should always be remembered favorably and vismartavyo na jatuchit. And jatuchit, kadachit, any point of time, Shri Krishna should never be forgotten. Sarve, all, vidhi, positive injunction, nisheda, negative injunction, sure, they are etayor eva kinkara. They are servants of this one positive injunction and this one negative injunction. So Sri Rupa Goswami's statement is the original source from where Srila Prabhupada has given his purport in the Chaitanya Charitamritam. The reason for speaking the same thing positively and negatively is, and Sri Jiva Goswami was fanning Sri Rupa Goswami when Sri Rupa Goswami was composing Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and very nice to have a commentator who was sitting right next to the author when the author is writing the literature. So if there are any doubts, the commentator can ask on the spot and get resolution of the doubts. See, there are many literatures in which the original author appeared thousands of years ago and the commentator appeared thousands of years later. Prime example of this is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken almost 5000 years ago and the commentator Srila Sridhar Swami, he appeared almost 700 to 800 years ago. So big gap is there between the original literature and the commentator. But in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu there is zero gap between the author and the commentator. The commentator is fanning the author when Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu is being written. Commentator asks, Sri Jiva Goswami asked him, why did you write the same injunction twice, once in a positive manner, once in a negative manner? And then Sri Jiva Goswami wrote down his answer. What Sri Jiva Goswami wrote down as notes is today his commentary, and fortunately we have his commentary. So we know what answer Sri Rupa Goswami gave almost 500 years ago. And what Sri Rupa Goswami said, I am trying to summarize it here by giving an example. This example was not given by Sri Rupa Goswami, but I am giving an example to help us understand. Dear devotees, for example, if in a particular school on one particular day, a teacher arrives and says, tomorrow is annual day, is the most important day of the school. Tomorrow everybody should remain present. Tomorrow nobody should remain absent. Same statement made in a positive manner and a negative manner. What is the need of saying? The indication is tomorrow everybody should remain present because by remaining present you will get some benefit. Tomorrow nobody better remain absent, because if you remain absent there will be consequences. I hope you are able to understand. So the same statement is made in a positive manner and a negative manner. So always remember Krishna, so that by always remembering Krishna all auspiciousness will come to you. And never forget Krishna, because by forgetting Krishna all inauspiciousness will come to you. Therefore a devotee should always remember Bhagwan and never forget Bhagwan. Dear devotees, what is the meaning of Satatam? Always. So always, dear devotees, is not possible for the practicing devotee. A practicing devotee cannot always 24 hours remember Krishna, because we sleep at least for 10 hours. No, sorry. We sleep for 6 hours. You people sleep only for 6 hours? Yeah, I sleep for 10 hours. Achha, theek hai. Anyways, we at least sleep for how many hours? 6 or 7 hours. So dear devotees, so when we sleep for 6 hours, at that time are we able to remember Krishna? No. Then we forget Krishna. So we broke the rule. Hence, we are not good Vaishnavas. Okay, dear devotees? That is all I wanted to say. Thank you very much. That's it. That's the purpose. Dear devotees, commenting upon this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, please repeat. Satatam prati aham natu pratikshanam tasya sadhyatvena. Satatam means prati aham. He says satatam constantly in the verse means regularly, every day. Natu, it doesn't mean pratikshanam, at every moment. Why? Tasya asadhyatvena, because it is practically impossible for the practicing devotee to fulfill this requirement. Alright, dear devotees, so when Sri Rupa Goswami says always remember Krishna, what is the meaning of always?
Every day.
How many times? ठीक है.
At least once.
At least. How many times?
At least once.
At least, not at most. Dear devotee. At least how many times every day, dear devotees? At least once. So at least once every day we should remember Krishna, and then we will fulfill the criteria that we are always remembering Krishna. It's the same thing. How many times do you go to school every day? Once or twice? Once. So you say, I constantly go to school. I hope you're able to. So the similar thing. I never miss school. I always go to school. I hope you're able to. Like this, you have fulfilled the condition. Yes, Prabhuji.
How do we fulfill the never forget Krishna?
Not a single day has gone when I have not at least remembered Krishna once. ठीक है ना? See, once the Acharya gives the argument, rest of the monkey logic I will do. The Acharya should support me, then I will do the rest of the monkey logic. ठीक है? So I hope you agree. Wonderful. So dear devotees, remembrance of Sri Krishna should occur at least how many times a day? At least, at most, any number of times in the day, 24 hours. The Acharyas have written books for 24-hour remembrance, which is called as Ashtayam Smaran. Ashtayam Smaran means remembrance for all 24 hours. What are Sri Radha Krishna doing at this time of the day? You look outside and you see the time of the day, determine the yam, determine the quarter of the day. According to the quarter of the day, you sing a tune on the kirtan or you perform your smaran. So this is what is called as Ashtayam Smaran, 24-hour remembrance. Question arises, but when we don't remain awake for 24 hours, how can we do remembrance for 24 hours? If you see in traditional circles in Vrindavan on Ekadashi, they remain awake for 24 hours. They don't sleep on Ekadashi. They are not like me, 10 hours. Okay, dear devotees, but so 24-hour remembrance, dear devotees, is possible, especially on which day in traditional circles they carry out Ekadashi. So 24-hour remembrance happens on that particular day. I hope you are able to understand. So this is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. This is what the entire verse says. So now we know at least how many times we have to remember. once. And if we don't even remember once, so we have not fulfilled the most essential heart of sadhan bhakti. And yesterday I said, what is the heart of sadhan bhakti, dear devotees? Smarana. And we did not fulfill the essential process of entire sadhan bhakti. So then that is a matter of great shame if we could not remember Krishna even once in a single day. So that day is completely wasted when we could not remember Krishna even once. So dear devotees, therefore there should be basic daily smaran for everybody. So how many of us would like to perform basic daily smaran at least once a day? Please raise your hands. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So it's very important. This is for, as a vidhi I am giving. Vidhi means it doesn't require you to be a very advanced devotee. That after 20 years you practice this. Any newcomer can also practice this thing. It is mentioned in the Shastra for each and every devotee should be able to practice this. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sri Sanatan Goswami says. And the first part is little difficult, but rest of the things you can do. Okay? Brahme Muhurta Uthaya Krishna Krishna Iti Kirtayan Athechan Paramam Shuddhim Murtni Dhyatva Guroh Padau Sutva Cha Kirtayan Krishnam Smaram Chaitad Udiraye. So first the difficult part. Brahme Muhurte Uthaya. Waking up at what time? Brahma Muhurta. Brahma Muhurta, dear devotees, is at that time of the day when the day is just about to begin. One time one devotee told me, why do we have to wake up at this inhuman time every single day? Why do we have to wake up at this inhuman time? I said, I also don't have the answer. So, the how to wake up at Brahma Muhurta, dear devotees, and very simple. I was able to easily wake up for Brahma Muhurta once in life without struggling. Once in my life. Rest of the days I have struggled, but once in my life I woke up without struggling. When was that? When I went to my village, and it was previous government, so there was no electricity. So when there was no electricity, so before 7 o'clock you have to eat. Otherwise you will not know what is going inside your mouth. So there are insects everywhere, so that's why. So eat before 7 o'clock. After 7 o'clock you can't see anything in front of you. So what to do? Then gaze at the sky. Gaze at the sky, gradually lie down, do some prajalpa. So I slept by 7:30. So when I slept by 7:30, you can't imagine what time I woke up. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. My goodness, nobody told me that this is how you should wake up in Brahma Muhurta. So, then I realized after many years that the Shastra says Brahma Muhurta Uthaya. But Shastra doesn't say when to sleep. So Shastra assumes that we have basic intelligence. That when all the animals sleep, all the birds sleep, all the 83,99,999 species sleep. No. Besides owls. Bats and owls. Besides that, when everybody sleeps, that time we should also sleep. When we sleep at that time, that we can easily wake up in which Muhurta, dear devotees? Brahma Muhurta. I woke up in Brahma Muhurta and I had existential crisis. What to do now? So Brahma Muhurta Uthaya. Because usually when I wake up in Brahma Muhurta, I am fighting off my sleep. Why? Because I usually sleep in 9:30, 10 o'clock. Huh? So I am fighting off my sleep. But that day I didn't even have to fight off my sleep. So I had an existential crisis that day, but I understood this is the best way of waking up at Brahma Muhurta is to sleep at a proper time on the previous night. Brahma Muhurta Utthaya, and after waking up, dear devotees, first thing is not to brush your teeth, first thing is not to wash your face, first thing is not to check your notification, dear devotees. The first thing, Shastra says, is Krishna Krishna iti kirtayan. Okay, so we should sing something. What should we sing, dear devotees? Krishna 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 Hey, Krishna 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 Krishna, Krishna 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 Hey, Krishna Kesha Krishna Kesha, Krishna Kesha Pahi Mam, Rama Raghava Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshamam. So this, dear devotees, is Krishna Krishna iti kirtayan. Why to perform kirtan in the very beginning? Because you are preparing to perform the heart of sadhan bhakti now. What is the heart of sadhan bhakti, dear devotees? Smaran. Before performing smaran, it is important to have chitta shuddhi. The acharyas have said that smaran requires chitta shuddhi, kirtan doesn't require chitta shuddhi. So when we wake up in the morning, there may be some negative impressions from the previous day that are still there. In order to cleanse those previous impressions from the previous day, you perform kirtan, and that kirtan Krishna Krishna, so that the negative impressions of the previous day, they are washed away. Sometimes individuals misinterpret that you have to perform kirtan for 30 years in order to become pure. I hope you are able to understand. 20 years, no. Kirtan is a constant process. Cleansing is a constant process. Every morning you clean. I hope you are able to. It's not that you clean your home for 30 years and then you stop cleaning. And you have to clean your home every morning. So perform kirtan every morning. And as soon as you perform kirtan, you are having a cleaner mind. Atha icchan paramam shuddhim. Now if you want the highest cleansing, murdhni dhyatva guroh padau. Think of the Guru's feet upon your head. And then Stutva cha kirtayan Krishnam, having glorified Krishna, smarams cha etarudiraya. Then you remember selected verses glorifying Krishna from Shastra according to your choice. Okay, you can remember verses glorifying Krishna according to your choice. You can take any verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam or from the writings of the Acharyas, but any verse that helps you meditate on Shri Krishna. There are verses in the Padyavali which specify Shri Krishna Dhyanam or meditation on Shri Krishna. Any of those verses or any of the verses in the Bhagavatam which facilitate your meditation on Shri Krishna. You have to build your own assorted collection of meditations on Shri Krishna from Shastra. It should be from where? From Shastra, from the writings of the Acharyas. You are free to build your own assorted collection of meditations. But every devotee should have that meditation. Sri Sanatana Goswami gives some examples of which, sample of which meditations to do. But in general, you can select your own. Here is the translation of this verse. Please read, Prabhu.
Yeah. After waking in Brahma Muhurta and performing Kirtanam of Krishna Nama, Krishna Krishna, then desiring the highest purification, one should meditate on the 2 feet of Guru placed on one's head. Then after glorifying Krishna, one should perform smarana, remembrance of Krishna, and then utter various glorifications of Krishna from Shastra.
Okay, wonderful. So this is what the verse says. This same basic daily smaran was given by Srila Prabhupada also in his writings for all the devotees. Here is the confirmation of the same principle by none other than Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says something. Prabhuji, kindly read what Srila Prabhupada says in the purport to Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Concerning Pratha Smriti, remembrance of the Lord in the morning, in the early morning hours known as Brahma Muhurta, one should get up and immediately chant the Hare Krishna mantra. or at least Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. In this way, one should remember Krishna. Some slokas or prayers should also be chanted. By chanting, one immediately becomes auspicious and transcendental to the infection of material qualities.
Please read the sentence again.
By chanting, one immediately becomes auspicious and transcendental to the infection of material qualities.
So is chanting required for 20-30 years or just immediate Krishna Krishna? Immediate. I hope you are able to understand. So this misconception we should not have. Therefore I highlighted this particular sentence. Please read ahead.
Yeah. Actually, one has to chant and remember Lord Krishna 24 hours daily or as much as possible.
Smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavya na jatu chet. I hope you are able to understand. But at least how many times should we remember, dear devotees? And at least one remembrance has been given in the early morning. Now this is Smaran as Vaidhi Bhakti. I hope you are able to understand. Smaran as which Bhakti? Vaidhi Bhakti. A rule has been given. You have to wake up at Brahma Muhurta and after waking up perform Kirtan of Krishna 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 He and then remember Krishna at least once. So you fulfill the condition of which verse, dear devotees? Which verse have we fulfilled now? Smartavyaha Satatam Vishnu. Because we know Satatam means what? At least how many times a day?
Once.
So have we lived up to the most essential verse of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu? Yes. Wonderful. Why? Because a vidhi was given. What was given? Vidhi. Vidhi, a rule was given. A niyam was given. You have to do it once every day. So this, dear devotees, all individuals should take up this practice because it is recommended by Srila Prabhupada himself. And it originally comes from one literature. From which literature does it come, dear devotees? Hari Bhakti Vilas. In the previous slide we saw that the original injunction is coming from which literature? Hari Bhakti Vilas. And this same has been translated into English in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So, how many of us are willing to do this basic smaran at least once a day in the early morning? Please raise your hands. Okay, wonderful. Dear devotees, it is fully authorized by the previous acharyas as well as Srila Prabhupada. It is something which every devotee should do. So, I hope that this particular meditation will help you. Now, let's say on a particular day we wake up and we find that it is not Brahma Muhurta. So, what should we do? What should we do?
Still we do.
Because there is slight impurity, you did not wake up at proper time. So how to drive away all the impurities, dear devotees? Krishna, 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 Okay. So dear devotees, this is how you drive away all the impurity. One of the most learned pandits of his time, Sri Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya also, once in his life he woke up late. That was the night when he had a dream of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being Bhagavan. That Saraswati Devi, he had the dream of seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He realized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Bhagavan. He woke up late in the early morning and that day he had not brushed his teeth. So somebody knocked on the door. Arey, wake up, you missed Mangalarti. No. Wake up. Somebody, who was on the door? Anybody remembers?
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on the door. And what did he have with him?
Prasad, Mahaprasad.
Jagannath Prasad. And what did Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya say?
He will accept it right away.
Right, I have not brushed my teeth. So can you accept Jagannath Prasad without brushing your teeth?
Yes.
So can you chant Krishna Nam without brushing your teeth? Yes. Of course, dear devotees. So this is a supreme purification. Okay? But don't use this as an excuse to wake up at the wrong time. One of the 10 offenses is to take the holy name for granted and use it as an excuse for committing activities which are against the Vedic literature. Alright, so one should not try to use any limb of bhakti in this particular manner. So always wake up in which muhurta, dear devotees?
Brahma Muhurta.
And what is the best way of waking up at Brahma Muhurta?
Sleeping early.
Sleep early. If it is possible for us to sleep early, that would be very nice. Okay. So this is what Srila Prabhupada says. Dear devotees, actually speaking, Smaran is just one of the limbs. It is how many limbs? Just one of the limb. And how many limbs, total limbs are there? Can anybody tell me?
64.
60. Dear devotees, there are millions of limbs. Right? Sri Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Hari Bhakti Vilase Sya
Hari Bhakti Vilasesya
Bhakter Angani Lakshashah
Bhakter Angani Lakshashah
Hintutani Prasiddhani
Hindutani Prasiddhani
Nirdishyante Yathamati.
Nirdishyante Yatamati.
Now he takes the name of a literature which has been composed by his own brother. What is the name of his literature?
Hari Bhakti
Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas is the Smriti literature of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. It has so many rules and regulations, so many limbs of Bhakti. Bhakter Angani, the limbs of Bhakti, Lakshashah, millions are described. Lakshashah is actually lakh, and a lakh is how many?
100,000.
100,000. Huh? So, Bhakte Rangani Lakshashah. So, thousands and millions of limbs have been described. I'll give you one example. For example, performing Apara Ekadashi is one limb. I hope you are able to understand. Which Ekadashi? Apara Ekadashi. Performing Apara Ekadashi and worshipping Bhagwan with a ghee lamp is another limb. Performing Shattila Ekadashi is one limb. But for performing Shattila Ekadashi and offering sesame seeds in the bathing water to Bhagwan is another limb. I hope you are able to understand. Performing Shattila Ekadashi and planting the sesame seed is another limb of Ekadashi, another limb of Bhakti. In this way, if you do all the permutation and combinations, how many limbs will you have, dear devotees? Millions of limbs. Kintu tani prasiddhani. But amongst those millions of limbs, only those which are prasiddha. What are prasiddha, dear devotees? Which are
Famous.
famous, where not famous in the world, famous in Shastra. Kintu tani prasiddhani, which are famous in Shastra. Nirdishyante. I am describing Yathamati according to my intelligence. So Sri Rupa Goswami, out of millions of limbs, selects how many popular limbs, dear devotees? 64. Here is the translation, Prabhu. Kindly read the translation.
In the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, millions of limbs of Bhakti have been described. However, in this literature, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, only the 64 prominent ones are being described according to my intelligence.
Okay. So 64 prominent ones as mentioned in Shastra I am describing according to my intelligence. Millions of limbs are distilled into how many limbs?
64.
64 can be further distilled into 9. What are the 9, dear devotees? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So 64 again get distilled into how many? 9. 9 are further distilled into 5 given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please repeat after me. Sadhu Sangha, Naam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vas, Shri Murti Seva. So 9 get condensed into how many?
5.
These 5 get condensed into 1. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. I hope you are able to understand. Think of a very big plantation of millions of rose flowers. I hope you are able to. Can you visualize in your mind? A plantation of millions of rose flowers. Amongst those millions of rose flowers, you selected 64 rose flowers which are of a very specific bright red color and are very, very fragrant. Out of those 64 rose flowers which are of a specific bright color and very fragrant, you selected 9 flowers which have no leaf missing, no petal missing. Out of those 9 flowers which have no petal missing, you selected 5 flowers which are perfect in all ways and have been untouched by the honeybees. And dear devotees, from those 5 flowers you extracted the essential rose oil. And that one rose oil, dear devotees, was Smartavyaha Satatam Vishnur Vismartavyo Jatachit. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. The roses have value because the roses have something. What do they have, dear devotees? Fragrance. The limbs of bhakti will have value if the limbs of bhakti will have something, what dear devotees? Smarana. Yesterday I was speaking about Anasanga Bhajan and Sasanga Bhajan. Bhajan without attachment and bhajan with attachment. Attachment is the essential oil which adds the fragrance to any particular flower. And you have seen flowers which do not have any essential fragrance. And those flowers are not very preferable, although they may externally look very nice. But flowers which have a good fragrance, which may not look so nice externally, also are also very preferable and dear to Sri Bhagavan. So dear devotees, Smaran is the essential oil of Sadhan Bhakti. Please try to understand this. Smaran is the essential oil of Sadhan Bhakti. Those who don't have this are missing the key component of Sadhan Bhakti. And therefore, it is our prime duty to develop this Smaran. And today I have told everybody how to do Smaran at least how many times? And at which time, dear devotees? Brahma Muhurta. Okay, or whenever you happen to wake up. It's Brahma Muhurta somewhere in the world. Change your time zone in the watch and chant Krishna, Krishna, Krishna here. So dear devotees, in this way, similarly, that one essential limb, what is the one essential limb, dear devotees? Smaranam, can again blossom into 5. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavad Shravan, Mathura Vas, Sri Murtis. These 5 can further expand into how many? 9. And 9 can further expand into how many? 64. And 64 can again millions. So this is the entire process of bhakti. This we should understand, dear devotees. Alright? So please remember this thing. What is the value of Smaran on this particular path? Now, besides Smaran, there are so many other limbs of bhakti. Which limb of bhakti should we perform? So Sri Rupa Goswami gives the deciding factor in this regard. Please sing after me. Sa bhakti reka mukhyanga,
Sa bhakti reka mukhyanga,
Shrita naikangika athva,
Srita naikangika katha.
Sa bhaktir, that bhakti. Sa is a lady, feminine gender. So bhakti has which gender, dear devotees? Feminine. Sa bhakti. So that lady named Bhakti, ek mukhya anga ashrita. Either you can take shelter of how many limbs?
One.
One main limb. I hope you are able to understand. Eka mukhya anga. Because out of 64 limbs, there is one limb is eating prasad. So I will take shelter of that. My mind will immediately misinterpret Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That is my mind. So, thank God, Sri Rupa Goswami added Eka Mukhya Anga. Otherwise, I was so eager to misinterpret the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. No. Now I can't misinterpret. Dear devotees, not even half a syllable is meaningless in this literature. This literature is the Ved of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. It is the Ved of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Sa Bhaktir Eka Mukhya Anga Ashrita. That Bhakti can take shelter of how many limbs? One.
Main limb.
One which limb? Main limb. Because there are so many other limbs like eating prasad, and I will decide I will eat prasad and go back to the hospital. No, go. Dear devotees, what are the main limbs, dear devotees? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Arshanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Take shelter of anyone. Ashrita anek angika athava, or you can also take shelter of multiple limbs. Anek anga. Please read the translation.
Bhakti can be executed by taking shelter of one primary limb or by taking shelter of multiple limbs.
So who will decide whether I should take shelter of one primary limb or whether I should take shelter of multiple limbs? And for Sundaranand Prabhu, who will decide? I will decide. I like Kirtan. So Sundaranand Prabhu, you should also like what?
Kirtan.
Yug Dharma.
Yes.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Gatiranyatha. In Kali Yuga there is nothing else, so remove the remaining 8 limbs. No, dear devotees. So who will decide for Sundaranand Prabhu? He himself will decide. We can't give him so much freedom. That is dangerous on the path of devotional service. To give a person so much intellectual freedom. Yes or no? Of course. स्ववासनानुसारेण
स्ववासनानुसारेण
निष्ठातः सिद्धिकृत भवेत्
निष्ठातः सिद्धिकृत भवेत्.
Swavasana. What is the meaning of Swavasana, dear devotees? According to one's own devotional inclinations. Anusarena. According to that. Nishthatah. But whatever you do, do with Nishtha. What is Nishtha? Determination. Siddhikrit bhavet. You will attain Siddhi very soon. Alright, so this is what Sri Rupa Goswami says. Please read the translation.
Such bhakti executed in a dedicated manner according to one's innate tendencies leads to perfection.
So dear devotees, how many of us are more inclined to Kirtan? Please raise your hand. Okay. See, not everybody raise their hand. Huh? Look around. Note your enemies. No, sorry. Note the non-like-minded devotees. Huh? How many are in favor of Smaran? Please raise your hands. Are you only allowed to select one?
Oh, okay.
Most favorite I am saying. Huh? Once again, sorry. Huh? Repolling. I'm sorry.
So Kirtan includes not only Nama Kirtan but Leela Kirtan, everything?
All Kirtan. Okay. How many are in favor of Kirtan as the most important limb that they want to practice? Please raise your hand. Okay. No. How many are in favor of Smaran as being the most important limb that they want to practice? Please raise your hand. Arey wow, Smaran is increasing after I gave the presentation. So the Kirtan walas will come, and they will chant a verse. What verse will they chant? Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ramaiva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Gatiranyatha. Okay? So the Smaran walas should chant one verse. Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyo na Jatuchit, Sarve Vidhi Nishedhasyur Etayor Eva Kinkara. I hope you are able to understand. So like this, the conflict usually goes on between two main limbs. Which two main limbs, dear devotees? Kirtan and Smaran. But one has to understand the Brihad Bhagavatamrit says these two are actually nourishers of each other. These two are actually nourishers of each other. While performing Kirtan, it is supposed to intensify one's Smaran. And while performing Smaran, it is supposed to give impetus to performing more Kirtan. In this way, these two actually are considered to be almost non-different from each other. Just there is Naam Bhed. There is difference of name, but Kirtan and Smaran go on simultaneously. Acharyas often give examples of material world to explain something of the spiritual world. This is called as Arundhati Darshan Nyaya. Arundhati Darshan Nyaya. Did I explain in the temple lecture? No. So Arundhati Darshan Nyaya is often in weddings in South India. After the wedding, they take you out and they make you point towards a star. How many did in their wedding? Arey wow. Okay, wonderful. So, which star is that, Prabhuji? Arundhati. So they go out, they take you outside, whether the star is visible or not. So they ask you to point at that. Usually the sky is supposed to be clear and the environment is free of pollution back in the old days. So you could look at the sky and there would be one very bright star. That bright star you would point to, just next to that bright star there will be a faint star. That star is called Arundhati. What is it called? Arundhati. Just as by looking at the bright star you can identify the faint star. Similarly, by looking at a material example which is immediately relevant, it is easier to relate to a spiritual example which is not so immediately relevant. This is known as which Nyaya, dear devotees? Arundhati Darshan Nyaya. So according to Arundhati Darshan Nyaya, many acharyas explain Kirtan and Smaran are actually nourishers of each other. For example, when a man and woman fall in love, they don't have this distinction that I will speak about him or I will remember him, or I will remember him or I will speak about him. Do they have this distinction, or are both of them amalgamated into the same process? What happens, dear devotees? They are amalgamated into the same process, and both processes nourish each other. So why, dear devotees, should we fight about kirtan and smaran? Because in the path of bhakti, swavasana anusarena. What is the meaning of swavasana? According to one's own innate tendencies. These innate tendencies we have carried from previous lives of bhakti. Whatever bhakti we executed in the previous lives, that particular bhakti has been brought to this particular life, and that particular bhakti is the limb that we like in this particular life. So swavasana, from previous lives we have executed a particular type of bhakti, and that bhakti we have carried in this life. So I always say that let devotees decide for themselves, because every masala is not garam masala. In this way, you are free to select your favorite masala, your favorite limb of bhakti. Right. So Sri Rupa Goswami is such an expert. What he has done is, in the 64 limbs also he has given finer subdivisions of each limb. Like when a question was asked about japa, I did not say yes. Is japa included? What did I say? No. Japa is a separate limb, kirtan is a separate limb. Sri Rupa Goswami has said that limb number 33 of 64. What is limb number 33, dear devotees? Sankirtanam. What is Sankirtanam? Many people get together and perform kirtan, becomes known as what? Sankirtan. Single person performs kirtan, becomes known as kirtan. Many people get together, 3 or more than 3, becomes known as what? Sankirtan. This is limb number 33. But when you are sitting solo and you are uttering the Naam only with the intention of hearing yourself, soft utterance, becomes known as limb 34. What is that, dear devotees? Japa. Just as Sri Rupa Goswami has distinguished between Sankirtan and Japa, although in English both get translated as chanting. In English, Kirtan is also translated as chanting, and Japa is also translated as chanting. So because it is difficult to translate everything into the English language, therefore common terms are used in English language. Similarly, when it comes to Smaran, Sri Rupa Goswami has given 2 distinct limbs of Smaran. Please hear carefully. There are 2 distinct limbs of Smaran that Sri Rupa Goswami has given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Please repeat after me. Limb 45 is Smriti.
Smriti.
Dear devotees, Smriti is another name for Smaran. What is Smriti? Another name for Smaran. And limb 46, dear devotees, please repeat. Dhyanam.
Dhyanam.
So Dhyan is another limb. Although both can be translated as remembrance, Smriti is a separate limb, Dhyan is a separate limb. Now what is the distinction between Smriti and Dhyan? I would like to say, dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami defines the difference between Smriti and Dhyan. First he takes Smriti, and Smriti he defines as follows. Please repeat after me. Yatha kathanchin manasa sambandha smritiruchyate yatha kathanchin manasa sambandha. Somehow or other you connect your mind to Krishna, even if that remembrance is very basic remembrance and you are not able to sustain that remembrance for long, but somehow or other your mind got connected to Krishna. Basic remembrance gets known as what? Smriti or Smaran, dear devotees. Here is the translation. Prabhu, kindly read the translation.
Somehow or other, connecting to Krishna through the mind is known as Smriti, Smarana.
So very casual remembrance. You are sitting somewhere, easily whatever you can remember about Sri Krishna without troubling yourself too much. That becomes known as what? Smriti, or another name is Smaran. Now dear devotees, in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, there are many leelas of Bhagwan. Which leela do you think you can easily remember while sitting at one place? Bolo. Different devotees have different pastimes they can remember. Whatever you can casually remember, the mind does not have to hold it for a long time. The remembrance may break very soon, but still you perform some Smaran. You have performed limb number 45. What is limb number 45, dear devotees? Smriti, also known as what? Smaran. When it gets more intense, it becomes known as what? Dhyan. Now when you have concentrated remembrance, it becomes known as Dhyan. Sri Rupa Goswami describes Dhyan. Please sing after me. Dhyanam Rupa Guna Krida.
Dhyanam Rupa Guna Krida.
Seva Dehe Sushtu Chintanam.
Seva Dehe Sushtu Chintanam.
Dhyanam is Rupa, Guna, Krida, Seva, Adi, Sushtu Chintanam. to nicely think of in a dedicated manner without any external disturbances, to dedicatedly think of Rupa. What is Rupa, dear devotees? Form. Guna. What is Guna? Qualities. Krida. What is Krida? Pastime. Seva. What is Seva?
Service.
Any service that is to be rendered. Sushtu Chintanam. To nicely meditate upon that in a dedicated manner, free of disturbances, becomes known as what, dear devotees? Dhyana. Okay. Here is the translation. Please read.
Thorough contemplation upon the form, qualities, pastimes, service, etc. of Krishna is known as dhyana, meditation.
Yeah. And this dhyan is Rupa dhyan, Guna dhyan, Krida dhyan, Seva dhyan as mentioned in the verse. So accordingly, you can select a particular dhyan when your meditation intensifies. Alright. Now, we are gradually coming to the end of the seminar, and a major doubt that always arises within the heart, dear devotees, is this. And please read the doubt, Prabhuji.
What is the difference between genuine smarana and imagination?
What is the difference between genuine smaran and imagination? How many of us think that while performing smaran, it is actually nothing but imagination? If you are thinking using the mind, and the mind is material or spiritual?
Material.
Material. Mind is material or spiritual? Material. So whatever thought process comes to the material mind, that thought is material or spiritual? Material. So dear devotees, it depends. If it is Krishna, it is spiritual. So we will get into that. Dear devotees, if it is Krishna, it is spiritual, but the Acharyas have given a much more detailed understanding of this, and this is applicable to all sevas. So I will answer by asking another question. Just as the difference between uttering genuine naam and uttering empty syllables. Dear devotees, how many of us chant japa? Good question. Once again, I'll ask, check those who don't raise their hand. How many of us still chant japa every day? No? Okay, wonderful. So, let's say there are 3 people chanting japa. Okay? Jagdish Mahaprabhu. Here are 3 people chanting japa. You, me, and Sachinandan Prabhu. Okay? Which one is you, which one is me? That you decide. The Brahmachari is Sachinandan Prabhu. Okay? So, please tell me which one is chanting japa and which one is just uttering the material syllables. Bolo? Hard to say? Huh? Second one? Which one? Who is chanting the material syllables? Hare, Krishna.
None of them.
And who is chanting genuine naam?
Prabhuji, put Mataji's and we can easily tell.
Right? We don't want to further complicate the situation. It's difficult enough. Huh? Isn't it, Sundaram? Yes, wonderful. We don't want to complicate the situation further. Huh? So,
We cannot tell.
we cannot tell.
Extreme.
So, dear devotees, just as we cannot give certificates of who is chanting japa and who is chanting naam, similarly we can't give certificates of who is performing imagination and who is performing smaran. I hope you are able to understand. This applies to all sevas of bhakti. We cannot give a certificate as to whose bhoga is accepted and whose bhoga is not accepted, because the material eye is unable to perceive the difference between bhoga and prasad. The material ears are unable to perceive the difference between naam and syllables. The material mind is unable to perceive the difference between smaran and imagination. So it is impossible to give a certificate to somebody else as to whether they are performing smaran or they are imagining something. Sundaranand Prabhu, his vision, his mind may be having a different image of Krishna. In his mind, Krishna may be dark like a tamal tree, and in my mind, Krishna may be dark bluish like a blue sapphire. And in his mind, Krishna may be performing a different lila, and in my mind, Krishna may be performing a different lila. And he comes from which state of India?
Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh. So his Krishna may be eating paisam, huh? And I come from Maharashtra. So my Krishna may be eating mirchi bhaji, no? Puram poi, sorry, puram poi. My Krishna may be eating puram poi. So which Krishna is smaran and which Krishna is imagination? Yeah, both are imagination. Both are imagination. End of story. So dear devotees, I will rephrase the question, okay, which I had asked in the temple also. This is a deity of Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan in Jaipur. This is a deity of Sri Radha Damodar in Vrindavan. This is Sri Vigraha Radha Madhav in Sri Mayapur. All three were carved by different people at different times. And do all of them look the same or do all of them look different? Different. So which one of them is Krishna and which one of them is not Krishna? Which one of them is Krishna and which one of them is imagination of the sculptor? Question for difficult question for you. Which one of them is Krishna and which one of them is imagination of the artist?
Or Krishna.
Krishna looks in three different ways.
The way that he came into their imagination.
He came in their imagination.
Yeah, he came.
Okay. Wonderful. We are getting there. No problem. Dear devotees, so just as there is a difference between uttering genuine naam and uttering empty syllables, there is difference between smaran and imagination. We can't give a certificate. But let's look at the deities previously, dear devotees. In this particular deities, all of them look different. The person who sculpted the deities, that person had an image of Krishna in his mind before he sculpted the deity. That image of Krishna was material or spiritual?
Material.
That image which was present in the mind of the sculptor, the mind of the sculptor was material or spiritual? Material. The image that the sculptor had in his mind was material or spiritual? Material. I am coming to the point. Please try to understand. I will not let you go disappointed. I am coming to the point. The mind is material or spiritual? The images that come to the mind are material or spiritual? Wonderful. So a material mind produces material images. From a very rational point of view, everybody can accept this. I hope you are able to understand. But dear devotees, there is a principle by which Shri Krishna voluntarily descends on the material form and becomes non-different from it, and the form becomes known as spiritual. I hope you are able to understand. So the original form which is conceived in the mind is material or spiritual? Material. But when you do prana pratishtha, I hope when prana pratishtha is done of the deity, at that point of time Vedic mantras are uttered, the premi bhakta with love invites Bhagwan, and then Bhagwan becomes non-different from the deity, and thus that which was previously known as an idol now becomes known as a what? Deity. I hope you are able to understand. This process is called Atidesh. What is it called, dear devotees? Atidesh. And Sri Rupa Goswami specifies this principle, this Siddhanta in this regard. Please repeat after me. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Navaved Grahyam Indriyai Evon सेवोन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ
सेवोन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ
स्वयम् एव स्फुरत्यदः
स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यदः
अतः Shri Krishna नाम आदि. What is Shri Krishna नाम? Name of Krishna. Adi, form of Krishna. Na bhaved grahyam. It cannot be grasped. Grasped by the what? Indriya. What is Indriya, dear devotees? Senses. Because the senses are what in nature? Material. And the form of Krishna is what in nature? Spiritual. Can a material sense organ like the mind grasp the spiritual form of Shri Krishna? No. But still some imagination is there. But dear devotees, although a faint imagination of Krishna's form is there in the mind, but still if there is one tendency present in the devotee, then Bhagwan Swayam Eva Spurati, Bhagwan himself descends on that conception of the particular individual. And what is that particular attitude that the devotee should have? It is given in the third line. Seva Unmukhe. When the inclination is to render what? Seva. So when the craftsman crafts a particular idol, that idol is crafted using a material conception. Does everybody agree? Yes. And because it is a material conception, therefore different deities look different. There is no doubt about this, because originally it is a material conception, therefore different deities look different. But then the intention of the pure devotee manifests, and in the third line that intention is given. What is the intention, dear devotees? Seva Unmukhe. Because it is Seva Unmukhe, Swayam Eva Spurati Yadaha. Bhagwan himself descends on the image that is created by the craftsman who crafted the deity. Swayam Eva Spurati Yadaha becomes non-different from that particular image, and thus an ordinary idol also turns into a what? Turns into a deity. This process is technically called as Atidesh. What is it called as? Atidesh. Please read the translation for you.
The names, forms, etc. of Sri Krishna cannot be grasped by the ordinary senses. It's only when these senses, such as tongue, etc., become inclined to genuine service that these names, forms, etc. of Sri Krishna manifest spontaneously on the ordinary senses.
So dear devotees, very important to understand, the mind is material or spiritual? Material. The form conceived in the mind is originally material or spiritual? Material. But if one tendency is there, what tendency is there? Seva Unmukhe. And if the meditation is done according to the guidelines of Shastra, then dear devotees, Swayam Eva Spurati Ada. Bhagwan descends on the function of the mind, becomes non-different from the function of the mind, and thus you end up performing Smaran. That is the distinction between imagination and Smaran. If somebody remembers Krishna not with the purpose of rendering seva, but with the purpose of entertainment, then will it be called Smaran or imagination, dear devotee? Imagination. But if the purpose is to render seva, then that becomes known as what? Smaran. And as a side effect of that Smaran, if you get happiness, that happiness is most welcome. I hope you are able to understand. But happiness is not the primary goal of Smaran. The primary goal of Smaran is what, dear devotees? Seva. Similarly, how do we know if we are chanting Naam or are we chanting Akshar? Is the intention to render what, dear devotees? Seva. When the intention is to render Seva, syllables also turn into what? Naam. When the intention is to render Seva, Bhog also turns into what? Prashad. When the intention is to render Seva, imagination also turns into what? Smaran. In this way, the distinction between material and spiritual is specified in this particular verse. Sri Jiva Goswami gives further elaboration. He says, please hear very carefully, Shri Bhagavataha Swarupa Shakti Vritti Rupam. Bhakti is a function of Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti, dear devotees, is material energy or spiritual energy? Spiritual energy. Ato aprakritam. Therefore, she is non-material. Api, still, Kayadi Vritti. It descends on the Kaya. What is Kaya, dear devotees? Material, the material body. So Bhakti descends. Kayadi Vritti Tadatmyaneva Tatra Tatra Avirbhutam. Bhakti descends on the respective senses when one particular tendency is present. Which tendency is present, dear devotees? Seva. Seva Unmukhe. The inclination to render Seva. Dear devotees, but the inclination to render Seva originates in one sense organ. Which sense organ, dear devotees? And
Mind.
The devotees in the mind, or you can say the heart, the original inclination for seva arises. Therefore, the crux of sadhana bhakti is also here, the devotees. I hope you are able to understand. Huh? That is what distinguishes the material from the spiritual. The volition of rendering seva comes from here. Therefore, it is the mind which is the most important sense organ in the execution of this entire process. Alright, this we should remember and we should never forget that this particular fact. Please read the translation, Prabhu.
Yeah. Bhakti is a function of the Swarupa Shakti, internal potency of the Lord. Thus, she is completely non-material. Yet, one should know that she becomes non-different from the material functions of the body, mind, etc. In this way, transcendental bhakti descends on those respective mundane senses.
I hope you are able to understand what I have specified. It was not my speculation. It has come from this commentary, dear devotees. So the forms conceived in the mind are material or spiritual? Material. But because those people who are performing smaran have one tendency in their mind. Which tendency, dear devotees? Seva. The tendency to render seva. Therefore, Bhakti Devi descends on those material functions and becomes non-different from those functions and spiritualizes them. And thus, a person having mundane senses also ends up executing Bhakti. This, dear devotees, is the entire understanding of the subject matter. And dear devotees, deities are of 8 types. The Bhagavatam doesn't shy away from mentioning that deities are originally material. The Bhagavatam is not going to shy away from this fact. Shaili darumayi lauhi,
Shaili darumayi lauhi,
Pyale kya cha saikati,
Pyale kya cha saikati,
Manimai,
Manomai, Manimai,
Pratimashta vidhasmrita,
Pratimashta Vidasmrita. The deity form of the Lord is said to appear in 8 varieties. Stone,
Okay,
wood,
dear devotees, first is what?
stone,
Material or spiritual? Okay, second?
wood,
Material or spiritual? Third?
metal,
Material or spiritual? Okay, fourth?
earth,
Material?
material,
Fifth?
paint,
Material or spiritual? Sixth?
sand,
Material or spiritual? Seven?
the mind.
Material or spiritual? Oh,
Depends on the tendency in the mind.
okay, okay. And last one?
Or jewels,
Jewels. Material or spiritual?
material.
All 8 forms of the deity are originally what in nature? But the 7th one is very important. Which one is that, dear devotees? But all these 8 can become fully spiritual if there is one tendency present. Which tendency present? Seva. Okay. As long as the tendency is to render seva, till that point of time, all 8 can be fully spiritualized. Okay. One very important thing. The 7th one is very special. You know why? Because the remaining 7 require formal official pran pratishtha ceremony. But there is one which does not require a formal official pran pratishtha ceremony. Which one, dear devotees? Mind. Therefore, this is the most special variety of form that one can have. And the acharyas pray for this. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Yam shama sundaram achintya guna swarupam. Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu. They always see within the heart. Acha, there is another advantage of this mind forma. Darshan never closes in the night. Never closes darshan. Santah sadaiva. Always the saintly souls are able to get the darshan. Hridayeshu vilokayanti. This antar darshan, which is present in the mind, is the most special darshan that a particular person can have. And this antar darshan, the deity which is within the antar darshan, is the most special deity that acharyas pray for. Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur also sings, and you can sing with me. Mama mana mandire rahanishi Krishna Murari Shri Krishna Murari. Dear devotees, I hope you are able to understand. Huh? Acha. So, Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur also offers in his mind various things. Bhakti Priti Mala Chanda, Bhakti Priti Mala Chanda, Tumi Niyo He Niyo Chittananda. So, dear devotees, this is the deity within the heart. Is it material or spiritual? Spiritual. Because one tendency is present. Seva unmukhe. As long as the tendency for seva exists, dear devotees, the a material form can also turn into something spiritual. So, dear devotees, with this, I will pause my speech. Thank you.
It's okay. It's just water.
Thank you very much, dear devotees. I'll pause my speech here. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saustavam kinchit tad gurave me nahi. Yadatra skhalitam, if anything slipped, including the water pot, vidvamsah purayantu tat. You are learned Vaishnavas, you correct it. Okay? Yadatra saustavam kinchit, whatever was nice, tad gurave, it belongs to my Guru Janas. Me nahi. I think one thing skipped in the lecture, that was the water pot. Okay? But if anything else skipped, you please don't mind it. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Thank you, Vijay Narasimha Prabhu. Thank you, Radha Lila Mataji. And Gaurav and Viren. Viren is in school?
He has exam tomorrow.
He has exam. Oh, he's studying. Oh, I remember those painful days. Thank you very much, everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This guy is
Okay, tomorrow we will be engaging in direct Smaran. Devotees. So tomorrow live examples of Smaran.
Take a group picture. We'll do one group picture.
Okay, but the Q&A first. Okay, yes. Anybody wants to ask anything? Dear devotees, please help in. Dear devotees, please help in maintaining silence so that everybody can hear the Q&A. Yes.
I have one question, Prabhuji. As you mentioned, for any 8 types of metal, wood, and all plant registration, but for mind also, what I feel like mind is not very correct. So that also required a kind of sukriti or guru's ashirvad, and then that's how you're kind of you are able to think that, and then mercy through mercy. So it's kind of again I would say like pran pratishtha by the guru, the seed was given, and then mind will function that way that you can smaran. Just verify on that part.
So the question is that the deity in the mind does not require prana pratishtha. That was said in the lecture. But the mercy of the guru itself is the prana pratishtha in this case. What I said is that a formal Vedic prana pratishtha is required for the other deities. Because there is pratishtha, prana pratishtha on the path of Vaidhi Bhakti, that you chant Vedic mantras to invoke the deity. But you don't do that for Manomayi Murti, for a deity that is there in the mind. In the mind, when you perform meditation in the mind is of two types. It is called as Mantramayi Upasana and Swarasiki Upasana. In both, there is no need of performing Prana Pratishtha because your prem itself is the Pratishtha of the Sri Vigraha in the mind. So that is the answer to the query. Right? Yeah. Anybody else? I'll just go and come to you. Yes.
How to stabilize the form of the, like how acharyas, great acharyas or devotees has stabilized the form of Bhagwan in the mind.
How to stabilize the form of Bhagwan in the mind? So tomorrow I will speak little bit. How to go from unstable meditation to stable meditation on the path. But today we saw Sri Rupa Goswami has given two varieties of Smaran. Who remembers what are the two names?
Smriti,
Dhyan. Smriti is thoda flickering. Dhyan is thoda stable. So I think your question is regarding dhyan, how to attain that stage where the meditation is very stable in the mind. So that I will speak about tomorrow definitely. But there is a process. You are coming tomorrow, no? Okay. Yes. One Krishna. Then we'll go to Mataji. Yeah.
You were mentioning that, thank you for the class, please. The difference between imagination versus actual Krishna is the mood of service. Now, what is, when that isn't there, is there anything in the scriptures where is there any classification when it's not based in service? I mean, for other devotees or even myself, like, let's say we're praying to Krishna for protection. Obviously, it's not a service that I'm giving Krishna, but it's, I'm requesting something. I'm being selfish. So in that, am I just doing imagination? What's the...
Sometimes you are praying because you are requesting for protection. Is that then because it is not seva? The inclination is not seva. So then how can it be termed as a smaran? The answer is, if the devotee's ultimate aim for protection is based on the fact that they want to preserve the body for seva, basically. So, the Gopal Champu, there is the pastime where Mother Yashoda runs to protect the milk. So, a question is asked by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that what is more important, giving direct seva to Bhagwan or protecting the milk? So, he quotes a verse about that, Tat bhaksha vastuni api upekshatam, that sometimes attachment to instruments of service becomes more than attachment to object of service. I hope you are able to understand. Sometimes attachment to instrument of service becomes more than attachment to object of service. In such cases, Bhagwan takes the attachment to instrument also as attachment to himself. But this is usually to be done in the spiritual world. I hope you are able to understand. This is usually good when it is in material world. This one instrument of seva is there, which is body. To take the body as an instrument and then pray for protection is very good. But at the same time, we should also remember that sometimes prayers come out because of that indulgence in the material body. I hope you are. So there is a very fine line dividing these two. One can pray, no doubt, but often that goes out of the purview of Uttama Bhakti. If that prayer is for whether I serve you or I don't serve you, still protect me. So that when that mindset is there, then it goes out of the purview of Uttama Bhakti. But still, considering the body as an instrument of seva, there is no harm, because sometimes attachment to instruments of seva is more than attachment to the object of seva. So I hope that clarifies. Okay? I can show that verse to you. I'll try to figure out that verse and I'll show you that particular verse. Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
How can we control mind on a spiritual path without any distractions?
How can we
Control our mind in a spiritual path without any distractions.
How can we control our mind on the spiritual path without any distractions? Often in the world, people give regimented solutions to this answer. That you do this meditation, that meditation, fix the mind, bring it out from distractions, force it to meditate on something. There are many activities in the world such as Tratak. Tratak is in a dark room, you put a candle and meditate on the candle for, in the Yoga Shastra, many such techniques are given. But actually nothing fixes the mind like attachment to a beloved. Nothing fixes the mind like attachment to the beloved. In Hindi there is a phrase, और मुहावरा कहते हैं. आप हिंदी बोलते हैं? क्यों बोलते हैं? ठीक है. तो सावन के अंधे को हरा दिखता है. You know what is the meaning? Person who went blind in the rainy season, for him the rest of his life everything will be green. A person who went blind in the rainy season.
The last snapshot. The last thing.
A person who went blind in the rainy season, for him everything is green. Even though outside everything might have dried. But he went blind in the rainy season. For him everything is green. तो वैसे ही कृष्ण के अंधे को सब कृष्ण दिखता है. समझ में? हाँ. I hope you are able to understand. So one who went blind in prema of Bhagwan, that person will be able to, there is no need of separately forcing the mind to focus on anything. Our process is not based on Ashtanga Yoga, our process is based on Bhakti Yoga. And the greater degree of attachment one has to Krishna, the greater degree of focus mentally one will be able to have. And this is specified by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, when Rupa Goswami gives a material example. Please sing after me, dear devotees. युवतीनां यथा योनि
युवतीनां यथा योनि
यूनां च युवतौ यथा
यूनां च युवतौ यथा
मनोभिरमते तद्वन्
मनोभिरमते तद्वन्
मनो मे रमतां त्वयि
मनो मे रमतां त्वयि.
So Mataji, please read the translation till here. Please read. You are able to see? No? No, Sundaran bro, please read.
Just as the minds of young women take pleasure in thinking of young men, and the minds of young men take pleasure in thinking of young women, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you, Krishna, alone.
हाँ, तो सावन के अंधे को सब हरा दिखता है ना? So person who went blind in the rainy season will see everything green. So similarly, a person who went blind during Krishna season will see everywhere Krishna. ऐसा है. So this is the conclusion of the. अच्छा, this example is material example or spiritual example? Why are acharyas giving material example? Which nyaya, dear devotees?
Arundhati
Arundhati
Darshan.
Darshan Nyaya. This is a classic example of which Nyaya? Arundhati Darshan Nyaya. So acharyas are using Arundhati Darshan Nyaya in seva of Bhagwan. Just as the mind of young boy is attached to young girl is attached to young boy, let my mind be attached to you. Mataji, if this happens, will you separately need to have any technique for meditation? No, na? बस that's it, है ना? उसको हिंदी में एक और कहावत है. इन हिंदी दे दो ना. 100 सुनार की एक लोहार की. समझ रहे हैं? हाँ? 100 strikes of the goldsmith, 1 strike of the blacksmith. Huh? So doing Ashtanga yoga techniques is like 100 strikes of the goldsmith, and doing falling in love in bhakti yoga is the 1 strike of the ironsmith. Dear devotees, so sunar ki ek lohar ki. There is a phrase. So this is how bhakti yoga works. Ekdam jad se solution, root se solution is made. So this is it. Maybe we'll take one more question. Till that time, I'll find the verse that I was looking for. Yes, Prabhu, please ask.
Kindly tell me how to do Smaran with the mood of service.
How to do Smaran with the mood of service? Oh, it's very nice question. How to do Smaran in the mood of service? So, to perform Smaran with the mood of service is very easy. We have to understand that we have to render seva to Bhagwan through the process of Smaran. But which Bhagwan should we render seva to through the process of Smaran? So it is best to render seva to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through the process of Smaran. Why? Because all these verses of the Bhagavatam, all these verses from Padyavali, they are originally meant for the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this body, current body, which is known as Sadhaka Deha. What is this body known as, dear devotees? It is impossible to directly approach Sri Radha Krishna. To approach Radha Krishna, we need another body which is belonging to their pastimes, which is technically also called as Siddha Deha. But in this body, which is called as Sadhaka Deha, the immediately accessible form of God, who is a manifestation of Radha Krishna, there is one personality. Who is that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there. Srila Prabhupada, when he introduced deity worship, and for those who are new, he used to say, you worship Gaur Nitai. Don't just go to Radha Krishna. You worship Gaur Nitai. Why did he make a demarcation line between worship of Gaur Nitai and worship of Radha Krishna? Is because in this current body, which is called as Sadhak Deha, it is very easy to approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha. Please try to understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Sri Radha, but immediately accessible through this body, through the Guru Parampara. So while we meditate on these form, qualities, pastimes, the intention should be, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever happiness I am getting through this, let it be dedicated to you. I hope you are able to understand. With this mood in the mind, one can perform Smaran of Bhagavan. So let all the happiness go to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that is the mood of the Gaudiya Vaishnava. We chant Hare Krishna for whose pleasure, dear devotees? Chaitanya. We perform Smaran for whose pleasure, dear devotees? Chaitanya. So that is the in Sadhak Deha, he is the personality to whom we give pleasure. Okay? Thank you. Yeah, this is the verse I wanted to show. Mohan Prabhu, this is Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sarartha Darshini. You can note the reference on 10.9.5. Okay, so what Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in Sarartha Darshini 10.9.5. Okay, devotees, please sing after me. तद्भक्ष्यपेयादिषु काप्यपेक्षता
तद्भक्ष्यपेयादिषु काप्यपेक्षता
दया पुनः सोऽपि समेत्युपेक्षता
या पुनः सोऽपि समेत्युपेक्षता
प्रेमो विचित्रा परिपाट्युदीरिता
प्रेमो विचित्रा परिपाट्युदीरिता
बोध्या तथा प्रेमवतीभिरेव या
बोध्या तथा प्रेमवतीभिरेव या.
First he raises a doubt. Nanu, you can see here Nanu, huh? On the left hand. Nanu, Krishnadapi tasya dugdham ati mamataspadam abhuto. Even more than Krishna, she got attached to the milk. Huh? She got more attached to the milk than whom? Even than Krishna. Yad anurodhena, because of that milk. Atripta Krishnopi, even though Krishna was dissatisfied. Huh? Upekshita, he became neglected. How did this happen? Huh? So in reply, Satyam, this is the fact. Then he quotes the verse. Tad bhaksha peyadishu kapi api. These items of eating, drinking are related to him. And such is her expectation, such is her attachment. Sopi sameti upekshatam. Sometimes he becomes neglected in comparison to these objects which are dear to him. Acha. Premno vichitra paripati. Strange are the ways of love. Huh? Vichitra paripati. Strange are the ways of the prema never moves in a straight line. Prema moves always crooked. Paripati udirita. Bodhya tatha premavati bhirevaya. Only those who have prema in their hearts will be able to understand this thing. Others will not be able to understand this. So this, dear devotees, is this particular thing is what is the answer. Okay? So we'll pause here. Achha, one last question. Yes. Okay.
Correct. Please correct me this understanding.
No, you correct me. I spoke the last verse, no? Yadatras kalitam kinti.
So, as you clearly said about the chanting as well as the smarani part, and both support each other. And we often hear such statement by Prabhupada, 99% of the spiritual advancement come from chanting. Right?
That statement is not recorded anywhere, by the way. Just a disclaimer.
I don't know, we often hear that.
I know, I did the research. Tomorrow is another day, we will meet again. You have 24 hours to do your research. Okay? You should try your best. 22 hours. Will you try your best and use all the sources in the world?
How did it come that it's so
I don't know.
very commonly used?
I don't know. There are many statements which just came. There is a letter by Prabhupada where Prabhupada said that nowadays there are so many Prabhupada says but nobody knows.
Really?
So I was reconciling in myself these two things, the chanting as well as smarana. I feel both are similar. When we are chanting, we are hearing Krishna's name. At the same time, sometimes we are meditating on Krishna's form, Krishna's leela. So that is one form of smarana only.
Yeah.
So is that understanding correct?
Yeah, but you might have also heard that while chanting just hear the syllables.
Yeah, that is also. But I heard both. Both are okay.
Both are okay.
I heard that.
Yeah. So what is the question?
Just verifying, is this understanding of like chanting 99%, but it's a form of smaran only in one way, it's supporting each other.
I understand, but your question has a slight implication.
Okay.
The implication of your question is because chanting is 99% of the advancement, so everybody should select one limb.
Okay, not
I'm that implication is coming out in your question.
okay.
So I just want to say one thing about this.
I'm just wanted to correct my understanding.
I also got my understanding corrected. So now here is a direct proof. You can see with your eyes and you only read the translation proof. Okay, huh? Brihad Bhagavatamrit 2, 3, 152. Okay, note the reference please. Brihad Bhagavatamrit 2, 3, 152. Pritiryato yasya sukham chayena samyak bhavet tadrasikasya tasya
Samyak bhavet tadrasikasya tasya
sadhanam shreshtatamam susevyam
sadhanam shreshtatamam susevyam
sadbirmatam pratyuta sadhya rupam.
sadvirmatam pratyuta sadhurupam.
Prabhu, you only read the translation.
Whatever the devotional method by which a man with true spiritual taste feels satisfaction and complete joy, that is the method saintly authorities deem most excellent and effective for him. It is not only the best of methods, but the very aim of his endeavors.
Pramanam. See, I hope, and you know, I am not quoting this out of context. The whole section in the Brihad Bhagavatamritam here is going on between Smaran versus Kirtan. Okay, I will show you previous verse.
There, by force.
If by the force, please read.
If by the force of one's meditation,
What is meditation in Sanskrit? Smaran.
Smaran,
Okay.
all the function of the senses, including some kirtan of the Lord, physical contact with Him, seeing Him, and so on, become absorbed into the function of the mind. That meditation may be accepted as better than chanting out loud.
Wonderful. Acha. What is better than Kirtan? What? Acha. Above.
If those attached to meditation on the Lord still insist that remembering is of greater importance, with their intelligence they should make the following distinction. In meditation, the Lord reveals Himself fully with His particular qualities, but in remembrance the mind merely comes in contact with the Lord.
This is the distinction between Smaran and Dhyan. Alright? He is giving it. So there is a comparison going on between Smaran and Kirtan. And see here. Now, please see in favor of Kirtan. Please read.
If the sense of speech, which sets all the external and internal senses in motion, is brought under constant control, then the mind becomes stable and can properly engage in transcendental remembrance of the Lord. Remembrance thus develops as a fruit of chanting.
Smaran develops as a fruit of what?
Chanting.
Chanting is what? Japa or Kirtan?
Japa.
Chanting is Kirtan. Okay? Acha. In this verse, what is glorified? Kirtan or Smaran?
Kirtan.
Later, what is glorified?
Smaran.
What is the conclusion? प्रीतिर्यतो यस्य सुखं च येन सम्यक् भवेत् तद्रसिकस्य तस्य तत्साधनं श्रेष्ठतमं तु सेव्यं सद्भिर्मतं प्रत्युत साध्य रूपम्. Whatever the devotional method by which a man with true spiritual taste feels satisfaction and complete joy, that is the method saintly authorities deem to be best for and most excellent effective for him. It is not only the best of methods but the very aim of his endeavor. This aligns perfectly with what Sri Rupa Goswami had said. Swa vasananusarena nishthatah siddhikrit bhavet. 360-degree alignment. Nothing missed out. Everything falls in a straight line. And no biased nature. I hope you are able to understand. This is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Classic. Traditional Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Now, it is between Kirtan and Smaran. What is Yoga Dharma? Japa, Kirtan or Smaran? I hope you are able to understand. Please learn to distinguish between Kirtan and Japa. There are two separate limbs mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. People chant after chanting 16 rounds, they think I have done Yoga Dharma. No, you have done Guru Dharma. I hope Yoga Dharma is to perform what? Kirtan. 10 people should come to know about Bhagwan. 10 people should hear about Bhagwan. 10 people should benefit by hearing about Bhagwan. Then you have performed Yoga Dharma. What is that Yoga Dharma? Kirtan, Sankirtan. That is Yoga Dharma actually. Book distribution, speaking to other people, chanting Hare Krishna loudly. All this belongs to which process? Sankirtan. I hope that clarifies. Okay.
one last.
Okay, I don't mind, but I hope it is last.
Not it is not.
It reminds me of my college days when I used to give submission.
One more paper.
No, no. Last date of submission comes now. Last date of Then I go to the teacher and sir, give me one last extension. One last extension.
It's often in the scripture there are abundance of shlokas, and not there's so many speakers. Whatever points they want to make it out, you can bring that many number of shlokas, those particular references. You are all right. I'm not telling you, but
I am fully agreeing with you. Bolo, speak the question.
so my question is, as you mentioned, 64, then 9, 5, 1. That is ultimate. All the numbers of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings the most three important principles, right?
Which one?
The Namruchi, Vaishnavdaya.
In which verse is it said that?
Vaishnavdaya.
In which verse is it said that these three are the three most important limbs of bhakti? We were speaking strictly about in one context. We were speaking limbs of bhakti. I hope you are able to understand. These are very technical terms in the context of which categorizations are given. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, millions of what are given?
Limbs of Bhakti.
In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, 64 what are given? In Srimad Bhagavatam, 9 what are given? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu selected 5 what? And Rupa Goswami highlighted the most important what? Limb of Bhakti. Aisa hai. Okay? So the categorization is strictly in the context of limbs of Bhakti. So you can bring Jivadaya and those are characteristics of a Vaishnava. Or you may say good behavior, Sadachar of a Vaishnava, that is recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, most recommended by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But as long as it is not included in the categorization of limbs of Bhakti, we will not bring that into this, although it is very worshipable.
So this is characteristics.
Ha,
All that.
ha.
I'm just trying to understand the technicality, characteristics.
Yeah, characteristics of a Vaishnava.
Okay.
Okay, these are after effects.
After.
Jivadaya is not an artificial practice which is enforced upon oneself. Jivadaya is the after effect of developing prema of Bhagavan. Humility is not artificially imposed. No matter how many times it is said that you should practice humility, genuine humility comes as a result of affection for Bhagavan. And do you want to, because there may be hundreds of devotees coming and speaking, they are all respectable. Finally, whom should you follow?
Yes.
What should you follow? You should take praman from Shastra and see what is given in Shastra. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes.
So, in this way, one should understand, Nir Kshir Vivek, distinction between milk and water is to be made by understanding what is given in the Shastra. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavasthito and Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. Final verse I will show and you only read the translation. Bhagavad Gita 16.24. Please read the translation.
One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scripture. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated.
So, what is Praman? Shastra Vakyam Pramana? Yeah, Baba Vakyam Pramana.
Shastra.
If I am able to convince you of this point, my duty is done. Shastram Pramanam. I hope you are able to understand. Veda Pramanam. Ved is Praman. Shastra is Praman. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. Shastra says Shastra is Praman. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes.
Who says Shastra is Praman? Shastra says Shastra is Swata Praman. Shastra doesn't say I need any authority to authorize me. Guru is Guru because Guru follows whom?
Shastra.
Sadhu is Sadhu because Sadhu follows whom? And does Shastra need any authorization from any external source? No. So amongst Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, which is the central Praman? Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavasthito Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. So you may listen to 100 people, no doubt about that. But amongst that, wherever you find the greatest alignment with one Praman, which Praman? Shastra Praman. That is to be quoted. But you have 22 hours.
99% of time.
You have 22 hours to
I try, bro.
try your best.
I'm gonna fail, looks like.
No. You may
I think
succeed.
each one of us has heard this statement so commonly.
No. No, no, only you heard.
You know, I have also heard other statements. You know what statement? Krishna punishes the devotee. Krishna is testing the devotee. Yeah. I did not find Pramani. I find Pramani. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Deena Bandho, Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namaste. My Krishna is merciful Bhagavan. My Krishna doesn't punish me. I hope you're able to know. Maya punishes me. That I agree. Krishna doesn't punish.
Krishna will not punish.
That is. Okay? So, many such Prabhupada states are there, but I'm seriously saying, please try to find it by tomorrow. And if you don't find, I'll ask you. Okay?
हम है ना प्रभु हम याद दिला
I'm but I'm in a very serious mood. Will you at least try to find?
I will try.
Wonderful. Okay,
Because
so,
I just shared commonly.
Prabhu is going to be absent tomorrow.
please.
We'll Zoom call it.
Last thing was there, piggybacking on what Prabhuji said, in all the 8 limbs, like excluding the remembrance, which we put in all the limbs, like whether we are doing the Shravanam or Kirtanam or Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmavida, in all the limbs, we are meditating on the glories of the Lord, right? So why are we separating that as one separate limb? Because whatever, whether we are chanting, still we are chanting with the mood of glorifying the Lord, right?
Wonderful.
So that meditation is in all the limbs. Why?
Wonderful.
So,
As I said, it is the essential oil of all the limbs.
Yeah.
I already mentioned that.
so why do we have it separately as one?
Yeah, because in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there is a distinction made between what is known as Kaik Seva and Manasik Seva. Seva through the physical senses and Seva purely through the mind. So Seva through the physical senses includes Seva through the mind. But Seva through the mind does not include Seva through the physical senses. So when you perform Smaran, you need not move your external limbs. But when you move your external limbs, you need to perform Smaran. So please tell me which is the independent limb amongst the 9 limbs. That is why it has been highlighted out. Like, Smaran is the best. No. So whatever you feel is best is the best for you. Okay? But I would also like to see, I would like to correct myself if there is such a statement. But please try to find. I will wait.
It's commonly heard.
So let's trace the source.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. ठीक है. तो थोड़ा किसको पूछना था कि ना? थोड़ा लेट हो.
अनंतरम
अनंतरम. तदनंतरम tomorrow. चलो प्रभुपाद की
जय.
हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna.
अच्छा प्रभु,
हरि नाम
it should be a direct